Hey everyone, I'm Keckers, this is Tabletop Talk, and welcome to Session 0, or You Never Get a Second Chance to Make a First Impression. Now, before we continue, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me out. It lets me know if you guys are actually enjoying the stuff I put out, and it lets me know what direction to start moving things to give you more of what you need. Well, let's get started. And as we get started, there's one thing that I see a lot of new DMs, a lot of new players, a lot of new groups having a difficulty doing, and that is remembering the need of a session 0. You see, a session 0 is when you get your players together and you basically hammer out what the game that you are playing is going to be. You develop the tone of the game. You develop the goals for not just the characters. That's one thing you have to realize. There is going to be the characters' goals, and there are going to be the player goals. Sometimes those things are going to be right on track. Sometimes those things are going to diverge, and sometimes the divergence is fun. Realize that there's going to be differences between your idea of what your character should be and what the character is supposed to be. Now, these things, Session 0, this is something which is for any game setting, any game system. It's all about figuring out what this story, what the game, what this group is going to be about. And that is what you do. You see, Session 0s, where everyone gets together to figure this stuff out, a lot of people, once they get really into gaming, a lot of people, when they feel that they're so experienced they don't need to do that, is when they lose track of the importance of these things. What you want to do as a DM, as a player, as any of this stuff, is hammer out all these things. So, it's a good thing to get the players together, and this should be a neutral setting. In fact, for a lot of Session 0s, I'm going to recommend not having it at the place where you normally are going to be gaming. Have it over a dinner, over a breakfast. If you're Zooming or if you're using Discord, have things set up in some different way. Now, this isn't to say that the things that are going to happen in Session 0 aren't important. In fact, it's a good idea to have it actually be the introductions for a lot of these characters. Have the Session 0 be where they can lay down and establish the relationships. So you don't just start the game off with, oh, they meet in a tavern, or oh, they've been together for such and such length of time. This Session 0 is where you get that stuff done, but also, because it's a Session 0, this is not the first session. This is not the start of the game. This is laying the groundwork, because anything which happens in a Session 0 is something that you can pull a mulligan on. It's something where once these things happen, you figure out what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of. Because you might find that, oh, I'm playing a ranger when the character is far more interesting if I played him as a barbarian. Now, allow your players to figure these things out and move from the Session 0 to the Session 1. This should be relaxed. This should be just about figuring out the enjoyment of what you're going to be doing, because once the game really starts, you can't go back on a lot of this stuff. Weapons, items, equipment, backgrounds, just things in general that the characters are going to be starting the game with. The Session 0 is where all that stuff should be figured out, because a lot of times you don't even know if it's going to work until you have it out on the paper, until you actually roleplay using it. So you use a Session 0 to hammer out all those weird inconsistencies, things like too many people in the party having too many of the same thing, so they're sort of overriding each other with what they can do. Have a little bit of combat in your Session 0. Don't kill anyone in your Session 0, but just allow people to go experience how this character is going to be out in the wild. DMs, hammer out your NPCs. Figure out how you're going to be playing with them, how you're going to be playing with the players. Is there going to be a lighter tone? do the players respond better to you being ultra serious or ultra silly? Or where in the middle do you have to meet for you to get the proper engagement with these players? Because it's going to be different every single time. You may have been DMing for 20 years, 30 years, but if this is the first time this group is getting together and playing a campaign, you're going to need to figure out who these people are. And sometimes you could be playing with the same group for 20 years, but these new characters that they're bringing are going to have a completely different mindset for the players, and you need to figure that out before things actually get going. So yeah, this is just a few ideas from me of the importance of this session 0. So a few things you can do to hammer it out and make your entire campaign run far more smoothly and more enjoyably for everyone involved. Well, yeah, that's just a little bit of tip from me, Keckers, and I hope you follow it, and I hope you enjoy gaming in any way you do. Until next time, bye-bye.